this morning. I do see a lot of new names today, so welcome in if this is your first time joining us today. We have a pretty straightforward agenda today. We're going to talk about living on campus versus living off campus. Ultimately, again, it is your choice what you want to do. So we'll just our students will talk about their experiences where they're living and then kind of go from there. For those that don't know me and are just joining, my name is PJ Gurung. I am the Assistant Director for Strategic Communications and Recruitment here at the KIC. So a lot of your communications about finishing your application and things like that, that's usually me. I also do manage our social media. Um, and I have this wonderful team that helps me keep our social media up to date. So you'll kind of see our social media handles and everything at the end of the session. And we hope you guys follow us and kind of see any of our pre-arrival content that's coming up. With that, I'm going to pass it off to Ritika, who is my graduate assistant. Ritika, if you just want to state your name, major, um, your home country, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Ritika Marsani. I am international student from Nepal. I am doing my master's in engineering management. And welcome to this webinar.
Yeah, we can keep moving along. Whoever wants to go next, don't be shy.
Okay. Hi guys. My name is Tiffany Beda. I am studying management information system here, and yeah, I'm an MGA for PJ. Oh, I'm coming from Ivory Coast too. Yeah, I always forget to say where I'm coming from.
Hi everyone, my name is Yuva. I'm from India and I'm doing my bachelor's in computer science here, and I also work for PJ and part of the MGA here. Nice to meet you guys.
Hi everyone, my name is Janat. I'm from Uganda. My major is management information systems. Yeah, I work for PJ as well.
All right, awesome. So we're going to be covering a lot of things. So for the students that are here, like watching our MGAs, if you want to start thinking about how you would explain leasing, subleasing, utilities to somebody who's never rented and kind of start thinking about that, that'd be great. I do have a PowerPoint presentation, but not everybody knows what a lease is. Not everybody knows that you have to pay utilities separately for most apartments. So things like that are going to be really important today. So feel free to chime in whenever. I am going to share my screen. I have a very, very quick PowerPoint presentation, Canva presentation that we can go through together. But if you guys want to let us know where you're joining us from, I'm actually going to open the chat to everybody. Usually, I know we only do the Q&A boxes, but because we have our students here today, I'm just going to open the chat so you guys can comment in the chat and we'll get to them as we see them. If you want to let us know where you're watching us from, what time it is where you are, that would help us. It also helps me kind of understand what time zones I'm hitting. So if you want to let us know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. With that, all right. Can you guys see my screen okay? Okay, cool. The agenda today is very straightforward. Like I said earlier, it's on campus versus off campus housing. What you want to do, it's up to you. I will have a couple of links for you guys to reference. The residential housing on campus actually has a separate website for just international housing, and they have the deadlines on there, the application process, all of that, which is going to be really useful for you as you're thinking about and as you're getting your visas and thinking about coming here in January. We can also start talking about early arrivals. I've gotten a few messages from some of you in the chat. I noticed some of your names. You guys have reached out about early housing and early arrival, what that looks like, so we can chat about that as well. If you are, I'm actually going to shut my door. Sorry, I just realized my door was open and everyone in the office can hear me yelling. Um, so on-campus housing options, there's two options you can choose from. You can either choose to live on campus in a dorm room setting like you see on the screen. Again, it's not like bunk beds. You can actually turn the bottom into, it's like a futon instead, or it's an empty space. But you could choose living on campus. We also have Stadium Heights Residence Community, which is off-campus apartment housing. However, it is connected with residential housing on campus. So even though you're living off campus, you're technically connected with on-campus housing. Or another option is you just choose to live completely off campus. Some of you guys may know this that are watching this, since I see some of you guys are more familiar names, some of you guys might not, but I am actually a prior international student from Nepal as well. And for me, I've always lived off campus. And the reason for that was just because of budgets. Um, so it really depends on what your budget is, how much you're willing to spend, right? How much your sponsor is willing to sponsor you for. But I chose to live off campus my entire 4 years as an undergraduate student. Looking back, I do wish that I had done on campus for at least a year just to kind of get that full American dorm room experience, but you don't have to. We don't have that requirement here. If you are choosing to live on campus, if you guys want to let us know in the chat as well what you guys are planning to do, if you guys are planning to live on campus or off campus, or if some of you guys are already starting to look at housing, if you guys want to let us know, that's always nice as well. If you are choosing to live on campus in the dorms, you have either a standard or a suite option. The suites are generally slightly more expensive. The suites are also where you're only sharing the bathroom with 3 other people. So it's 4 people sharing one bathroom. We can talk about that a little bit more. The standards, you're going to be sharing the community bathroom on each floor. So that's kind of what the biggest differences are with standard and suites. For the application process, the biggest thing is you have to be accepted. If you are watching this, you're likely already an accepted student for spring 2026. You complete a housing application online on eServices. I will actually pull up that website at the end of our session and we can kind of browse through that together. You sign a housing contract. The biggest thing to remember is you do have to pay a $250 deposit to hold your room for you. If you apply a little bit earlier, you have the option of roommate matching and kind of deciding who you want to room with. I know that there's a cutoff for that, but we can take a look at the website and make sure we're reading all of that correctly. As we're kind of moving on with the housing, can our MGAs let us know if you're living on campus or off campus?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm living off campus. Yeah.
Me as well. I am living off campus as well.
I'm living off campus as well.
I'm also living off campus.
So yeah, we have almost everybody here that's lived off campus. I did invite a few students that have lived on campus or are living on campus, and unfortunately they couldn't make it in today, but that's okay, it happens. We can always connect you with students that are living on campus as well, of course. So just message me. You guys have my WhatsApp number, and I can get you guys connected with someone. If you're choosing to live in the university apartment, so that's Stadium Heights, you have an option of choosing either 3 bedrooms to 5 bedrooms. They are located very close to campus, and buses do run every 2 to 12 minutes, Monday through Friday. They do run on the weekends as well, but the schedule is a little bit different. I feel like the bus services is really good, but when you come here the first time, it's going to be a little confusing. And that's why we're here. That's what we're here for during orientation week. When you're here, you'll meet with peer mentors. We'll do a bus tour with you. So we'll tell you how to use the bus, how to get on the bus. We also have videos that we're going to be posting on our social media about how the bus system works and things like that. But initially, when you come in, the schedule might look a little overwhelming. In those cases, it's going to be really important for you to reach out to us, find us, and ask us questions. That's what we're here for. But if you're choosing to live in a university apartment, they do come fully furnished, which is great. Can anybody explain what fully furnished means? Jenna?
Basically, fully furnished means it comes with everything you need. For example, furniture, a fridge, um, a a cooker, and sometimes even a dishwasher. But basically, it comes with like the furniture, even like a bed and stuff, so you don't have to purchase that stuff on your own.
Thank you. I'm looking at the chats right now. Yuvraj is from India and it's 8:38 p.m. there currently. Paul's from Kenya and it's currently 6 p.m. Seyhan, hi Seyhan, it's good to have you here. I know we just emailed yesterday, but Seyhan from Turkey, it's 6 p.m. and Nitesh wants to live on campus. So yes, Nitesh, these are going to be really important, but I'll also share the link with you later so you can kind of take a look on your own time as well. But yes, thank you, Jannat, for that explanation. Fully furnished is going to be, I think fully furnished is really useful if when you're first coming in, if you're going to get an unfurnished apartment and you don't know anybody here, you're likely not going to have all the stuff you need to have a good night's sleep. I know we've had some students kind of say like, oh, when I came in, I didn't have a fully furnished apartment, and so I was just kind of sleeping on the floor because they didn't have their bed frame yet or their mattress yet. So fully furnished can be good in that instance. Also, kind of taking into consideration that you guys are coming in spring, which is the colder time. December, January is going to be really cold in Minnesota, and that's definitely a heads up that I'm giving you. And I'm sure our students here are also going to say the same thing is January is a very cold time and we want you to be safe and warm. So we'll talk about that. But if you're living in a university apartment, you also have free laundry in each building. It's a lifesaver, I'll tell you that much. You get free parking, so if you are choosing to get your own car when you're here, if you're living in a university apartment, you will get free parking pass as well. And there's a meal plan option as well. If you're living in the dorms, you have to purchase a meal plan. It's mandatory. And there's a few options for the meal plan as well, depending on your budget. But we're just going to talk about apartments today. Housing comparison. I'm going to kind of stop my screen here. And I'll just kind of have our MGs kind of talk about their decision-making process, their thinking, and how you guys came to living off campus, what that experience has been like, what was a shock, like what was more of a shocker for you having like come here from home and like lived in an apartment by yourself, what advice you have for our students watching.
I can go first. Um, so when I first came, I did live on campus in a dorms. I shared a room with my roommate, and we had to share kitchen and bathroom with in total 4 students. That was a pretty good time. I lived on campus for a semester, and then decided to uh, live off campus because of the budget issues and all that stuff. But it was a nice first semester to live on campus, to see the culture, the dining experience, to meet new people, to join events and stuff like that. So off campus, I lived, now it's called Groove. So I lived with 4 other roommates. I used to pay 250, 300 per month. I have to pay electricity, internet, water was covered, but I believe now water is not, also you have to pay for water as well. It's just different experience. You get to actually create this roommate relationship with your friends. So it's different, but it totally depends on your budget, your preference on having a roommate or not. So all that, yeah. That was my experience, but everything is good. I preferred both, but living off campus is more budget friendly, I must say. Yeah.
I can go next, I guess. When I first got here, I lived off campus. But I do currently work in the dorms, and I would say that if you're new here, most especially if you're an international student, it might be best to live on campus because that way you're automatically given a community of people and it's easier for you to make friends. However, living off campus is definitely more budget friendly, but the university compensates for that in ways of like there are always events going on campus. So if you're staying off campus, you can always just attend events and use that as a way to make friends and socialize with other people. But yeah, living on campus definitely gives you that like head start and like a push into the community, into the MSU community. Um, but living off campus would definitely give you, let's say for example, you're just fresh out of high school. It will definitely teach you how to be independent and show you what it is, like prepare you for the real world. But overall, there's like something to compensate for both sides. So, but yeah, definitely the more budget friendly one is staying off campus.
I
Same.
can go next. Oh, yeah, I can go next. I came here and lived on, can you guys can hear me, hopefully? Yeah, okay. I came and directly lived off campus. My thought process was that I honestly wanted to live alone. I didn't want to have any roommates for some reason that I still don't know. But I was very into that mindset of like living my best life alone type of thing. So, but I did got roommates because you cannot just come here in a foreign country that you don't know and you have never experienced and live alone. It's a little too drastic, I would say. So my dad advised me to have roommates, and then that was a very good experience. I learned to, live with different people that are different than me that I'd never met before. And I think that's the beauty of the experience, get to know people. And then I would say just having the skills of adapt yourself to anybody that you will also meet in the real world. So there's definitely skills that you will get from living with roommates, and it teach you patience, it teach you a lot of different things. But I would say it's a good experience, and you can also get the same thing by living on campus, right? Because if you're not living in a suite when you're like just by yourself, there's a lot more chances that you get roommates, and then you also have, to live with them and adapt yourself. So it's a very good exercise when you're new in a new country to live with other people. But also, I would say the other big thing, like Janet said, it was kind of being independent. So I was already not living with my parents back home for like most of the year. So I was trying to get this full experience of independency, like paying your own bills, cooking your own meal. So if you look for something like that, I would say off campus. And if you're a more shy person, I would say try your first semester on campus so you can also, get to accommodate, to meet people, make friends, and then when you're ready for like adult life type of thing, you can like go off campus if it's more budget friendly for you. But they basically said also for more privacy if you like don't want to share stuff and then you're like, I need my privacy, off campus is a good idea. Yeah.
Same thing for me. When I came here, I chose to stay off campus because it made it easier for me to find roommates because my brother stays here as well. And he lived off campus. So I didn't really have to find a house because I could stay with him. So I got my own room. And I already had good roommates, which is a big thing. Because I know most of my friends who didn't get good roommates had a bad time in their housing situation. So that was one of the main reasons I chose to stay off campus. But yes, most definitely living on campus would be a bit more fun. It would be easier to socialize and make friends. But off campus, you get more freedom, more privacy, and it's way cheaper, honestly.
Sorry, I was editing some dates on my PowerPoint. Yeah, I feel like the MGA's really hit the point of ultimately it is your personal preference and what you're looking to get out of the full, you know, US college experience. We do find that students that live on campus tend to have a slightly higher GPA the students that live off campus, but that doesn't mean that just because you live off campus, your grades are gonna suffer. Ultimately it's you, your time, how you're managing your time, your classes. I think the other thing that might potentially help with living on campus is that you have a learning community. So when you're living in the dorms, you can access learning communities, and these learning communities are like very major specific. I know that with nursing, I don't know if they still do it, but with students that are in nursing in the past, they would just have the entire floor with just nursing students. So you're like interacting and meeting with students that are in the same program as you are, and you're going to be in those learning communities together where you're in study groups, you're doing homework together. And so you are able to build those connections a lot easier when you're living in the dorms. And I know some of my MGs also kind of highlighted that is like making friendships could be easier because you're living in the dorms, and you are going to be put in situations where you kind of have to like step out of your box and talk to people, right? You have to talk to your roommate. You have to talk to people on your floor, and then you have weekly events on each floor that you're attending. So there is that, but then there's also that element, of course, budget. But we are kind of going to look at that difference right now. So I'm just pulling that up very quickly. Okay. Housing comparison, living on campus versus off campus. When you're living on campus, your average monthly cost comes out to about $1,300 for 12 months, which includes your room and your meal plan. Another thing too is if you're someone that doesn't like to cook, if you're living in the dorms, you have to get a meal plan, so that's going to be great for you. However, if you're living off campus, you can still get the meal plan. It's still an option for you. It would just be that you'd be eating here and then, yes, you're not living here, but you do have that option. And even for the meal plan, we have 4 different options to choose from. So depending on where you are, or if you're someone that just hates cooking or has never cooked and never wants to learn how to cook, this might be an option to look for if you're living off campus. When you're living on campus, you do have to sign a contract that's 1 to 2 semester long. Usually, typically it's a 1-year contract, and you cannot break that lease or like break that contract. You're in it for a year. It is a $250 deposit. I know it says $250 on the PowerPoint. That is not correct. It's $250. I guess I haven't updated it from last year. And you are going to be living with 1 to 4 roommates, even if you're living on campus. There are options where you can just have the dorms to yourself, and that would be in our Julia Sears, where you have the Julia Sears suites, and you can choose to just live in like an apartment almost by yourself, up to 4. We do have some rooms available, standards, that are with 3 other roommates. Really depends. You have 4 meal plan options. You are going to be living on campus, so you'll have a shorter walk to campus and any other events. I think that was one thing that I kind of struggled with when I was an undergraduate student, because I would be like, oh, I would finish work and classes and I'd go home and I'd say, well, I'll come back for this event. And that's in the evening at like 7 p.m. And I'd go home to have dinner. That would never happen because I would fall asleep and pass out. And I would wake up like really late. So that I think is one of the things that I kind of regret a little bit and just kind of missing out on. But if you're someone that's really good at time management, I'm sure you'll be fine. I wasn't as an undergraduate student initially, at least the first year or two, I was pretty bad. But the other great thing is everything is included in one bill that you pay on e-services. This is honestly really good if you're someone that just does not want to have to deal with multiple bills, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. If you're living off campus, I've put the average monthly cost for $1,100 for 12 months, but it's really varies. You heard some of my MGAs kind of say like they paid initially like $300, and it really fluctuates depending on how many roommates you want to live with, what part of town, how far. But the average would be about $1,100, and that includes your rent, utilities, food, and renter's insurance. Living off campus usually requires a 12-month lease and security deposit. The security deposit is an addition to what you're paying every month, and the security deposit is usually a one-time fee that you pay, so that when you move out, if there's damages to the apartment owners actually come take a look. If you have had a lot of damages, they do deduct that from your security deposit, and then you get back any remaining amount if there is any remaining amount. So even though you're living off campus in your own apartment, it's going to be very important that you're not damaging and destroying things in the apartment because that could potentially cause you a lot of financial compensation when you move out. So be really mindful about that. You could choose to live alone or with roommates. Like the optional meal plan is also available to you. So if you're someone that's living off campus that doesn't want to cook, for sure. And then we do have a bus service. I'm gonna show you guys. Okay, mine's the older version. You guys get the cooler, newer version for those coming in the spring. So I'm a little jealous. But you do have a student ID card that we help you get once you're here on campus during orientation. You use this MAF card or your student ID card. It's gonna have your photo and your numbers. But this is what you use to get on the bus. The bus is completely free to use and they take you from a lot of off-campus apartments, Walmart, like so the grocery store, the mall, downtown. So that the bus does take you a lot and they do operate pretty long hours on the weekdays. The weekends are a little bit different, but we do have that service, so you don't have to necessarily worry about having to get a car your first semester. I didn't get a car until my senior year of college. And I don't know if all of the MGAs here have a car, but not everybody gets a car right away anyway. But you are going to be responsible for paying the rent on time. You're going to be responsible for paying the utilities on time every month because the dates can look a little bit different. Rent is always due on the 1st, but utilities can fluctuate depending on when you started the service. So you're going to have to be really on top of it on paying your utilities on time because if you don't, your electricity is probably getting cut off. And if that's getting cut off, your owner or your apartment owner is probably not going to be happy about that and you're going to get fined. So you have to be really responsible about tracking that. Okay. Do you guys have anything else to add that I might have missed? Kind of just think about it. I feel like there's a lot of things that Sayan, where can I get more
If you
information? Okay,
don't,
sorry, go for it.
sorry, I was about to say, like, if you sign up for any like a lease or I would say any other type of bill and you don't pay on time, you can have fees added to it and there'll be more money to pay. So that's another thing. Like you want to be able to, some people do spreadsheets just to have all their deadlines and everything in one place where they can control, and even put them in their calendar so they don't miss things. But yeah, you don't want to miss things. You want to pay on time. It's important, yeah.
Anybody else want to chime in while I look for? Oh, thank you for doing that, Ritika. Ritika, you just sent that to the hosts and panelists instead of the students, so you might want to change that. Martin says, I have applied for spring on-campus housing with a single room. When will I know if I can get the room or should I have an off-campus backup plan just in case? That is a great question. Martin, do you know when you applied for the on-campus housing? I'm just curious to know what time you might have applied that for. Ritika is also adding the links in the chat as well. Okay, Martin said when it opened really early. If you applied when it just opened, I'm looking at the dates for you guys. I also have the email that I would like to share with you, Martin, that you can reach out to. So give me a moment. I think for me, I kind of lucked out when I came in because I was talking to so for those that are watching, if you're curious, you can also honestly go and find like student organizations from your home country. That's what I did. I reached out to the Nepali Student Association at the time, and I was like, "Hey, I'm an incoming student. Like, I kind of don't know what I'm doing. Can you help?" And they kind of redirected me and connected me with some other Nepali seniors who were looking for a roommate, and that's how I got in. So when I first came here, in like my first year at least, I didn't have to worry about setting up my utilities because they had already signed up for it. I just had to send them my share every month. So that's another way that you can think about doing it. But again, it really depends. Martin, I have an email for you. I would like for you to reach out to them. just because they might be able to take a look at your application and make sure that you're, able to, that you're like good. And I don't want you to have to worry about it because you are coming at a time when it's really cold. Saiful asked, how can we find the student associations? Can anybody look up the RSO website and send that in the chat, please?
I can tell my experience on how I found my Nepali student organization here. So I was a transfer student and I was trying to find a housing, and I found their Facebook page. But we do have a list of RSOs, international RSOs that we have. Let me send that real fast. Got it.
Martin, I just put that in the chat for you. I would honestly, if you applied for it pretty early, I'm gonna assume that you're gonna be okay, but honestly, I would get confirmation from them. We obviously don't have access to Rice Live availability, or anything like that, so it's really hard to say, but if you reach out to this email and kind of explain your situation, that you're an international student and you're coming here for spring, and you applied for a single room and you want confirmation that you're gonna be good, I think it's gonna be good for you. Awesome. Thank you. So with living off campus, and just like what we're talking about, right, with the utilities and stuff, what utilities are each of you paying for on top of your rent?
I'm paying for internet, electricity, water bill. Yeah.
Oh, you pay for water too?
Mm-hmm.
I'm only paying for internet and electricity and house insurance, of course.
I'm paying. Why are you guys forgetting your phone bill? I'm paying for my phone.
Yeah.
I'm paying for
phone.
internet, electricity, and I think and gas. I'm paying for gas. Like it's not one combined. Like it's electricity and gas, like different.
Yeah, me too. I pay for electricity, gas, and Wi-Fi. Thankfully for me, water is included, but yeah, like Ritika said, there's some apartments that don't have water included. Most apartments also come with sewer and trash included, but that's definitely something that you might want to check as you're like looking for apartments. Alrighty. So renting 101,
Can I add
what are
on
the
something?
terms and what do they mean? I think we've already kind of gone over a lot of this. But when you're signing like when you reach out to your apartment and you say, hey, I want to live here for a year, and they sent you a contract, read the contract carefully. The contracts can generally be really, really long, but it's going to be really important that you read through it because it's going to include a lot of information about things like, are pets allowed? Well, if pets are allowed, how much is it going to cost you? Is it a one-time fee or is it a monthly fee? Noise, like when are quiet hours? I think that's another thing that's in your lease. It also has a lot of other important things like, do you need renter's insurance? If so, how much coverage do you need for that? I had to do that. I do have to get renter's insurance for my apartment, and there's a certain X amount that they want covered, and so that's what I have to do. I did pay it in a one-time fee, so I don't have to pay it monthly, but that's also another option. But a lease is basically a contract where the landlord, the person that owns the apartment, allows you, the student, to use their property for a specific period of time in exchange for a payment. And they're generally 12 months long. So once you sign that contract, you're locked in. You can't just back out of it and say, actually, I took a nap and I realized I don't want to stay here anymore. You can't do that if you've signed the lease already. So you have to be really sure that you want to stay there. What are utilities? Like we've kind of been talking about it already, are basic services such as water, sewer, electric, gas, trash, and recycling bills. Depending on what's in your lease and what's included in your apartment, you must sign up for utilities separately and you will be billed separately as well. So you're not paying your housing company your utilities. It's a completely different service. Most apartments will not include all utilities, like you already have seen from our cases as well. And personally, I pay for gas, electric, Wi-Fi, and all of that fun stuff. Kind of bringing that back from what I was saying earlier, a lease is a legally binding contract and you cannot just leave the apartment midway through the lease. There are certain protocols in place. So if you stay in an apartment for 6 months and you meet like a person that's like, oh my gosh, you should live with me. You should live with me. You can't just leave your lease and go live with your friend. There are certain protocols with subleasing, so you might have to find someone else to take your lease. I think I'm getting too complicated, like I'm making it too complicated. But basically, what I'm saying is you have to stay for the duration of your time and you cannot just leave because you don't feel like living there anymore. Read the lease carefully and completely before signing it. The lease will include other relevant information such as owning pets, noise violations, etc. And you could also be asked to get renter's insurance. This is not a requirement for most places. The place I live at, it is. Did any of you guys have to pay renter's insurance?
I
Ritika?
had to. Yep.
Yeah,
Me as well.
you've okay. Tiffany, you did as well? Okay. Yuvraj said, I would really appreciate if you could also share how you found your off-campus accommodation along with any helpful details or tips that might be useful. That is a great segue into what we're going to talk about is I'm going to go into our MNSU website and show you how to access our off-campus housing availabilities and kind of get you started off there. Before I do that, I do want to tell you guys a little bit about our spring 2026 orientation. Attendance is mandatory. Orientation dates are Monday, January 5th through Friday, January 9th. So you must arrive on or before January 4th. Make sure you keep an eye out on your email, which is your personal email, as well as your student email, which is your MAV mail, because you will get information on both of those platforms. Reading your emails is going to be very, very important when you come here as a student in the US, and that's something that you'll kind of slowly learn. And our students can also attest to that probably is it's really important that you check your emails. The first day that you're allowed to enter the US for your January term start is December 6th, 2025. You're only allowed to enter the US 30 days before your program start date, which is why the first day is going to be January 6th. So once you get your visa and you have everything set up and you're looking for flights, make sure you keep this date in mind. And we're very excited to meet you. We have an amazing team of peer mentors, as you see in the yellow shirts on the screen, that are waiting for you to get here. And then our lovely MGAs are also going to be there to welcome you guys. So if you see us, come say hi. Let us know that you were in our webinar. And it'd just be nice to see you guys in person and put a face to your name. A few other upcoming webinars for you to look out for. November 4th at 1 p.m. Central Time, we have our placement testing. We had another placement testing this week. We'll have another one next week. So if any of you guys watching did not sign up for that, this is your reminder that we will be having another placement testing. We have a couple of registration webinars coming up as well at 2 different times on 2 different dates. Pick whichever one is most convenient for you. And registration, we're going to have a guest speaker that works in registration, and they'll kind of tell us what course registration is going to look like for you. November 12th, we have a what to do if your visa is denied. I'm hoping that everyone watching this gets their visa, but I'm going to knock on wood just in case. If it does, please join us. November 24th at 11 a.m. Central Time, we have a how to get from the Minneapolis airport to MSP airport to Mankato. There are a lot of recommendations and tips that we have for you, so definitely join us on those as well. And we have a few upcoming Instagram lives. We love saying hi to you on Instagram, so please stop by. We have 2 dates upcoming lives, but our amazing Maverick Global ambassadors will also be going live in the next couple weeks, probably in the evening time for us, like 5 p.m. Central Time. You can also go on our Instagram page and set a reminder for those, but we will also have our students going live. So you can also join us there. Instagram, I feel like is a lot easier to like kind of really ask a lot of your questions, and it's not as formal as our webinars are. So stop by and say hi. We love having you there. Okay, it says fall 2025, but it's supposed to mean spring 2026. But you should have received an email with a attachment of our webinar calendar that's downloadable and clickable. So you can go on there and register for all of our upcoming webinars. Otherwise, they're all available on the KIC portal. We update our KIC portal as well very frequently. So the KIC portal is going to be a really good spot as well. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the off-campus housing option. While I do that, do our MGAs have any tips and advice for our students coming in the spring? Not just about housing but like anything in general?
I'd say try to connect with the RSOs and try to find good roommates. I know you're not here yet, but you can still talk to them and make friends online or through calls or however. Or if you know people here, you can ask them as well. Because having good roommates does really make a huge difference about living here. Yeah.
And also be prepared to face cold. Minnesota does get cold, so bring your warm jackets, boots. Yeah, I think that's one of the important thing that the cold weather needs. Yeah, and backing off Yuva's thought, like you have to like get connected with different RSOs. That's how I got my roommates and room off campus. So I think that's a good pathway to take to find your roommates.
I'd say that backing off what Ritika said about the cold, I was so excited to come to Minnesota the first time to America, and I didn't come prepared for the weather, and I came in the spring, so I wasn't dressed the right way. So just a quick disclaimer, guys. You don't necessarily have to wear the warm clothes on the plane, but at least keep it with you in your hand luggage. That will really help you once you land here because it will be freezing cold. And another thing about coming in the spring semester, usually the time for new leases is in the summer. That's when like a bunch of new leases open up. So usually around this time, like December, November, it's kind of harder to get a lease. So I would advise you to start looking as soon as possible and like keep your eye out for it rather than waiting last minute because they do get taken up pretty quick because there are only a few spots. That comes to off-campus housing in the center of campus housing. But yeah, RSOs are also really important and you can get help that way as well for roommates.
I think that's the
Um,
go for
oh.
it. No, go for it.
Oh, I was about to say also, I feel like it's also the time to get off your comfort zone and ask the most questions possible. You want to be informed when you come here. Like you don't want to look like you don't know what's happening, right? You want to know like what's happening. You want to ask questions. So I feel like it's the best time to start getting out of your comfort zone. If you're a little shy, or if you're like, no, I don't want to talk to people, like it's the best time to start talking to people and get the information that you need. Get the American dream start now.
Mm. I think, yeah, that's also another thing about Minnesota is we have all 4 seasons. So you guys are coming at a time when it's winter, but once the weather starts clearing up and spring and summer is around, you forget that it ever snows here. I think a lot of us can attest to that because every year I forget that the winters get so bad because summers are so good. Summer, fall, you go to the pumpkin patch, you like get your pumpkin spice latte and you're having a great time because the weather's perfect, and then it snows. And then the cycle repeats again. It's spring and then it's summer, you're outdoors. Another great thing about Minnesota too is we have a lot of winter sports and a lot of winter activities that you can do. And as students, you're going to have access to a lot of these for free. I think one of the things that come off at the top of my head is our tubing. So in the winter, you'll have free bus services to go to Mount Cato, and they do like snow tubing. You can also pay a little bit extra and do snowboarding and skiing if you want. But that's a free thing. Another is ice fishing. If you guys are coming here in the spring, you have to go ice fishing. I know last year wasn't as cold, so they had to cancel it, and I'm still really sad about it. But I'm hoping that this year the weather kind of sticks around to where you can do ice fishing. Yuvraj said, I would really appreciate. Yeah, I did look at that. Seon, not related, but what to this webinar, but what are the placement testing for? So, as international students coming in, you will likely either have to take a math placement testing, an English placement test, math placement, or English placement, or both. Really depends. If you submitted your SAT scores, we're an SAT optional university, but if you did submit your SAT scores, sorry, I got distracted. If you did submit your SAT scores, you will be able to reach out to our placement testing center and they'll tell you if you got placed into a specific course or you have to retake, or if you have to take the placement testing. That's essentially what it is. If you join us for the placement testing, we will have Riley Davenport, who oversees our entire placement testing services. So you'll be able to ask her more personalized questions. Unfortunately, I do not really deal with that area, so that's kind of all I can tell you. And then with that, I'm gonna share my screen to kind of take a look at one of our off-campus, how to find off-campus housing, not through RSOs. Again, that's an option clearly, right? But if you want to do something by yourself, this is an option too. Honestly, before you even reach out to RSOs, I would take a look at what's available on the off-campus housing listing that I'm showing you right now. And then from there, you can kind of decide if you want to stick with that or separately. So all I did was put in MNSU off-campus housing on the Google search bar. I'm going to go with this website here, which is offcampus.mnsu.edu. I am going to put that in the chat as well, so you guys have it. Once you get to this page, you're just going to scroll down a little and you can view all rentals. This will show you literally all apartments available in Mankato, whatever's been listed here. Obviously, our university is right here, so you're probably most likely going to want to look for apartments that are closer. You can zoom right in, find one that's oh, this one's really close. This is actually a new apartment complex. I think that's opened up really recently, but you can click on that. I'm going to click on it. I haven't taken a look at it myself, but they are a new facility. So if you scroll down, you'll see exactly what's available, how much the prices are. This apartment is very close to campus, and they're new, so their prices could be a little bit higher. So definitely keep that in mind. But let's say I'm going to take a look at this 3-bedroom. I'm going to click on it. And it does say you have to pay a security deposit, which is variable. So I'm going to say it's going to be $200 per person, but $600 total, potentially. I don't know that. I would reach out to the apartment complex about it. I was going to show something else if possible. So let's look at Highland Hills. They're also very close to campus, as you can see on the screen here. Yep, Highland Hills. And they have more options to choose from. You have a studio, 1-bedroom to up to 4+ bedroom. It looks like they are available now. So if you're coming in the spring, this is a good option to take a look at. If you are looking, I would scroll down further and see if they have any other option, like anything else that might stick out to me. Convenient for undergrads. Yes, you guys are undergraduate students, most likely all of you, but there might be some graduate students here. Lease terms, 12-month. So there's no option for 6-month leasing with Highland Hills. So look at that. But again, at the same time, it says there's short-term lease. So that might be something you might want to look out for. I would take a look at the amenities as well and see what they offer. In-unit washer, these are amenities they do have, but it could vary depending on what apartment you're staying at. So I'm going to take a look at a studio. They have a picture, but they usually also have, oh, there we go. They will usually also say if you have in-unit washer and dryer and in-unit dishwasher. I know that the 1-bedroom that I lived at in Highland, like a long time ago, did not have dishwasher or in-unit laundry, but they did have a laundry room in the building itself, so I didn't have to go outside to do laundry. The only thing was they didn't have dishwashers, and unfortunately, I have gotten accustomed to using a dishwasher, so that was really hard for me. In Nepal, you don't really have dishwashers, so you wash by hand, but I've become a little spoiled and I don't like to wash them by hand. So that's a really big ask, like that's a really big requirement for me when I'm looking for apartments. But this is how I would kind of start, and then you can also start talking to different RSOs. Let's say you want to talk to the NESCOM or Nepali Student Association, you can start there as well. But I would also take a look here because you might be able to get a good deal and you're kind of doing it all by yourself. Okay. That was a lot of me yapping. But hopefully this kind of helps you guys a little bit in terms of like finding an apartment for yourself, or if you're choosing to live on campus. I'm taking a look at the time and we're almost at time, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and end this session soon, but this is a recorded session that's on our YouTube. So if you go on our YouTube, you'll be able to rewatch our recorded session anytime you want. But if you have any other questions, you guys know where to find me, or you can reach out to me if you want to talk to any of our students and I can connect you with them. Okay. Any last words, guys?
If you have a visa interview, we wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. And again, our students that are here actually provide you with visa prep sessions. So definitely sign up for those if you have not signed up for them yet. You'll be able to chat with them and they'll kind of help you guide through your visa process and also what they went through their personal experience. Okay, with that, I think we're gonna get off and get started with our day. Thank you for joining us today and have a good one. Bye.